Hey, I'm Ryan Reynolds.
Recently, I asked Mint Mobile's legal team if big wireless companies are allowed to raise prices due to inflation. They said yes. And then when I asked if raising prices technically violates those onerous two-year contracts, they said, "What the f*** are you talking about, you insane Hollywood ass?" So to recap, we're cutting the price of Mint Unlimited from $30 a month to just $15 a month.
Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes. See details.
This episode is brought to you by Amazon. Sometimes the most painful part of getting sick is the getting better part. Waiting on hold for an appointment, sitting in crowded waiting rooms, standing in line at the pharmacy. That's painful. Amazon One Medical and Amazon Pharmacy remove those painful parts of getting better with things like 24/7 virtual visits and prescriptions delivered to your door. Thanks to Amazon Pharmacy and Amazon One Medical, healthcare just got less painful.
Keys to the Kingdom. It's episode 21, the 21st episode of Flixwatcher Pod. I'm still Helen.
And if you've not heard my voice before, I'm Kobe. On this episode, we're going to be talking about the Drunken Master alongside Martin and Sam from Song by Song podcast. If you don't know, Drunken Master is the Jackie Chan classic kung fu film, which kind of rocketed him to superstardom with his kung fu skills. And the Song by Song podcast, if you don't know, talks about Tom Waits songs, song by song. As simple as it says it on the tin. These guys are fantastic, and they've won an award recently by the British Podcast Awards for the best review podcast, so you have to go and check them out. We'll give you all the details to find them in the show notes. So I hope you enjoy the show, guys, and see you on the other side.
Come find us on Twitter at FlixWatcherPod. Visit the website flixwatcher.tv for full listings, and don't forget to subscribe to us on iTunes and leave us an awesome review. As always, films reviewed in this podcast were available to stream on Netflix UK at the time of recording. There may be bad language and there may be spoilers. You have been warned. Do you want a professional sounding podcast as professional as Flixwatcher Pod? If you do, we recommend that you check out GL Productions. They're responsible for our editing and production. They're also going to give you a welcome package 10% discount. If you're interested, email podcast@glpro.co.uk, send them the message that Flixwatcher Pod sent you, and they'll give you 10% off your first package. Hello and welcome to this edition of Flixwatcher. Today we're joined by Martin and Sam from the Song by Song podcast, which is the ultimate in Tom Waits podcasting, I believe.
We're pretty close. We're pretty close to the ultimate.
There is another Tom Waits podcast, but we don't
talk about that.
We don't talk
But
about
hold
them.
on, did the other one win an award at the British Podcast Awards?
I don't know. I
don't think so.
I mean, it's possible, but we didn't see them there.
Sorry, guys,
We're the most self-centered of all of the Tom Waits podcasts currently available.
Of both of the Tom Waits podcasts.
Yes.
Well, we should say congratulations, guys, to winning the award. It must have been fun getting up on stage.
It was really exciting. I mean, Sam wasn't there, so he had.
No.
I carried a little fluffy owl in my pocket on the off chance that I didn't think we were going to win, and that was sort of Sam's avatar.
Yeah. And if you
for the
could see
photographs,
if you could see me here, then you'd know that a fluffy owl is a accurate representation of my presence.
it's just sort of in an animal, isn't it?
Yeah. My spirit guide.
Spirit animal.
Yeah.
So I think that baffled the judges or the awards that I suddenly plucked this fluffy animal out of my pocket. But yeah, it was really exciting. It was a thrill.
Lovely stuff.
Well, tell us a bit about Song by Song and how it works and where we can find you.
It's this terrible idea we had. We decided
that's not how you sell it. Sam.
Okay. It's this award-winning idea we had.
There we go. Award-winning terrible idea.
We are working through the entire back catalogue of Tom Waits' songs in chronological order. So starting in 1973 with his first album, Closing Time, we are now 7 albums in.
Just finished Heart Attack and Vine.
Yeah, and our plan is to keep doing it until one of us kills the other or we get to the end.
And
whichever first.
How many episodes does that mean then?
250, 260?
Okay. And we've done about 78?
5, yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I can't remember,
But it's well on the way, and now we've won
us killing each other.
National acclaim for how far we've got. We can't stop. There's no way of stopping. There's just no way of stopping. So it's a great idea. It's a terrible format. It's an award-winning show. Please join us. Please join us.
Song by Song podcast.
It is a great podcast. I've been listening, guys. So yeah, definitely dive in there.
Thanks.
Thank you. Yeah, we're on Twitter.
Song by Song Pod.
Yeah, we do this every episode, so we're getting quite.
You can find us, but songbysongpodcast.com, and yeah, come and join us for all of the shouty, gravelly voiced singing you could possibly hope for.
So we're here talking now about Drunken Master.
Drunken Master.
The Jet Li classic, quote unquote. We'll discuss whether it's a classic
Can't
or
be
not.
the Jet Li classic.
Sorry,
That's
that's
totally
the
unacceptable.
Going back
Are you
to the
gonna
one
edit
now.
that out?
aren't you?
Already a faux pas. Oh, that'll stay in. This is natural. This is naturalistic.
Of course, it's Jackie Chan.
The Jackie Chan Master. Oh my God. The Jackie Chan classic. Martin, you chose it. Take it away.
From you.
This is a film with Jet Li made in 2013. This is from 1978 and stars Jackie Chan. I picked this because I'd never watched it, and it's sort of I mean, as I understand it, it's the kind of the film that launched him into sort of stardom. And I sort of heard about it. I thought, well, it'd be worth watching. So the synopsis is: Jackie Chan plays a young man who gets into all sorts of trouble, teases his martial arts instructor, fights with people in the street, he steals food, he hits on women, and this goes on for a while. And his father, he's a martial arts instructor, and he's very disappointed in his son, gets very angry, and insists that he trains with his great uncle Su Huang, who has this reputation of like crippling his students with the training regime. And I don't know how much I should give away. I guess, I mean, it's going to be fairly obvious that he does end up training with this guy.
Yeah.
And hijinks ensue.
Hijinks. So what were your thoughts? Let's go to your general thoughts. Sam, let's talk with you first.
Well, I'm a big fan of Jackie Chan. All phases of Jackie Chan, really. I like a lot of his stuff in Hong Kong in the 70s. I do like a lot of his transition into Hollywood stuff, things like Rumble in the Bronx and First Strike. I'm quite a fan of all of his, like, you know, crossover comedy stuff as well. And I saw this film a long time ago, about 10 or 12 years ago, first time, when I was actually meant to be watching a very different sort of classic, The Magnificent Ambersons by Orson Welles. And I
mean, they're pretty similar films.
there's a lot of overlap. I mean, you know, Orson Welles wanted to do a lot more long takes of him kicking people in the face, and the studios wouldn't let him. You know, it's a sad tale. But so I put the video in the video player and rewound it and hit play, ready to settle down and watch some, you know, hardcore, you know, delicate filmmaking. And instead, I got a lot of kick punching, and so I have great warm memories of this film. I sat down to watch it, and actually we had a bit of a gear grind in choosing this film because we weren't certain whether we were going to watch this or we were going to watch the 95 Legend of the Drunken Master.
The sequel,
sort of
one of the sequels.
remake thing.
Sort of a bit of a reboot.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
So I had watched Legend of the Drunken Master before this and then settled in for, you know, the real old school classic. And I've got to say that I built myself up and I let myself down because while there are a lot of elements of this that are fun, and it's nice to go back and see Jackie Chan sort of in his prime physically and building himself as an action hero, I didn't think it really delivered.
Oh,
it's sort of a bit. It doesn't quite connect in all of the ways that I expect a Jackie Chan film, or rather, I'm used to later Jackie Chan films really landing. It's funny, but it's not as funny. The kung fu is great, but it's not as great and as fluid as some of his other stuff. The comedy mix, the mix of comedy and action isn't quite as seamless. And it's also set in this traditional era of China, which he has done lots of films set in that time, but I associate him mostly with, you know, picking up a ladder and hitting people over the head with it, and you know, jumping through a bank teller's grate and that kind of thing. And so and that's partly my fault because I do think it's got a lot of excellent features, but I wasn't so blown away.
What about yourself, Alan? You, I think, on that side of the table are
We've
less
aligned
favourable.
ourselves
Yeah, banded together
on the in teams. I mean, I didn't really get on with this one. I do like Jackie Chan as a person, and I quite like watching interviews with him. He's a very interesting guy. And
That doesn't allude to his film star capabilities, though, does it? I like him as a guy.
I like him. I like seeing videos of him hurting himself, which you get at the end
of
every,
each film. Yeah,
every
they're
single
good.
Jackie Chan film,
except this one.
But
except
yeah,
this one.
I like him in the Shanghai Noon and Shanghai Nights one.
Yeah.
I quite like that. I think it's quite funny. And a lot
Is that
of
the one with
stuff-
Owen Wilson?
Yeah, and a
And
lot
there's
of
Chris
the-
Tucker ones as well, which are, well,
That's Russia.
Russia.
1, 2,
Yeah.
and 3. Yeah.
And a lot of the things that are in this, he kind of uses again. But again, the action's not quite exciting. It's not. I didn't find it that funny, and I don't think it's dated particularly well. So I was kind of watching it, going, "I see. This is kind of why I like Kill Bill, because Quentin Tarantino has watched all of these films and then kind of made his own version, but taking like the best bits or like the more famous bits from the entire history of film of Kung Fu and put it into a nice repackaged
Reader's
version
Digest
for me.
version
Yeah,
of
yeah.
cinema.
Well, that's Kill Bill Volume 2 you're talking about there specifically.
Well, both of them actually.
Well, because
Yeah,
the first one was more about the Japanese style of fighting, whereas
Yes,
this one...
Yeah,
True.
but I think
Two
the
was-
trainer's kind of a little bit like the trainer in this, isn't it?
Well, that's Pai Mei in the,
Yeah.
in the second one, which is kind of alludes to the Drunken
Yeah.
Master kind of teaching in a remote place, which also then goes to things like Rocky IV, which also is Mr. Miyagi.
Yeah.
So you can kind of see the lineage quite clearly in other subsequent films about how, I'm not sure Drunken Master was the first, but I think it's one of the first ones that's kind of made people think, yeah, I like this kind of style of film.
Yeah, I mean, I think I agree with all the things you've said. I sort of feel like it comes from a different era of filmmaking, and there's different cultural sensibilities. Like some of the humor is like, I don't find it that funny as a 21st century British person, but maybe that was really funny to sort of Hong Kong audiences. And some of the stuff with the martial arts, like it's not. We were watching it; it's not that fluid.
No,
it's kind of move, and there's like kind of a lot of stopping. And I find that quite interesting because I really noticed that. You notice the collaboration between the performers. Like, because, you're meant to be watching martial arts and think they're in conflict, and obviously they sort of are. But at the same time, there's a lot of coordination going on. And I was really, with that stop kind of motion, I was looking at how, like, in sync they were. And I found that quite distracting, but also quite interesting.
I think it tells the story really well. Like the slower thing and the more separated out moves. I mean, there's that famous quote by Bruce Lee who said that he had to slow his kung fu down because the camera just wasn't fast enough to capture it. And I think that possibly...
I mean, that sounds like he's bragging, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
A notoriously humble man.
Because we can get cameras that can capture bullets flying. So
Yeah, true.
But not Bruce Lee.
Not Bruce Lee, yeah.
Faster than the speeding bullet. But and that was self-promotion. But I think that there was definitely like an attitude about filming kung fu, which was you needed to slow it down enough so that people could see not just who landed the last punch and who staggered away, but each move, each maneuver, and so that it tells a story. It tells a story of the relationship between those two fighters. And I think that's sort of been picked up a lot in contemporary Hollywood. You don't have crazy wrestling matches. You don't have sort of like long two guys holding each other and swaying back and forth before someone gets thrown through a window. Each shot, each moment of a fight has its own little, it's packaged into this punch goes here, change of angle, this punch goes here. You see a close-up of the guy grabbing someone's lapels, and then you get the throw through the window, and it's laid out like a storyboard, basically.
I think in terms of modern fighting, I think I agree with Helen in the fact I think it's dated in a way. And I really like like you say, it's choreographed, so it's more like a dance, and it's just more like impressive punches and kicks. And then there's kind of punch past the face, the other person moves the face away, and it kind of stops for a second before it re-engages.
Yeah.
Which I also think is quite good because you
register as a viewer that punch is missed or that punch is connected or
What I didn't like so much actually when I think about it is how kind of jerky the editing was, because sometimes there'll be a movement happen and then it'll be reset from a different position and it'll be like almost like they're halfway through a different set of moves, and I found that quite distracting. Again, this is like the third or fourth time I've seen this, and I think like yourself, Sam, I perhaps hadn't registered how it would play out in modern times, and this is now post Kill Bill 1 and 2, post Matrix, post
Jet Li's
the Raid, post Jet Li style of fighting, and I think
it's a lot more sort of magical, isn't it? I mean, I think about like the big difference being stuff like Wire Work, where like the fighters are literally floating and punching each other, and they fly across the room, and it's very balletic, and this is a very different style of presentation. It's still very stylized combat. I mean, both are very stylized. Like, that's not how a fight looks, I assume.
No.
I've never been in a fight, but I assume it doesn't look like that.
If you're looking at the Raid for more realistic versions of how fighting would work, this isn't the Raid. And this is, I think it's a 15 when it first came out.
Possibly.
I'd be very surprised if it's to be reissued now, or whether it be even a PG.
There's an interesting link, though, going back to what you were saying about The Matrix. And I would say The Matrix, Crouching Tiger, sort of defined at least through, like, from 99 through till almost present day, what we expect from that kind of martial arts stuff. Those two films were choreographed by Yen Wo-ping, who directed this entire film.
Okay.
Not just the action
that's interesting.
choreography, but this is like, so, talking about the evolution of styles, people's expectations. And actually, in an interview about its sequel, Legend of the Drunken Master, Jackie Chan had a great dislike of wire work. And the director of that film wanted to use wire work, and he said, "Oh, we shouldn't be doing that." And there was a big falling out, and Jackie Chan ended up finishing directing the sequel himself, all of the stuff in the Iron Foundry.
Has he ever used wire work, Jackie Chan?
Well, he's used
Yeah.
bits and pieces.
Yeah.
But
There's a quality scene with him and Jet Li where there's both a fair bit of wire work going on. So he has used it, I'm sure.
But it's interesting to think about, it's not just the evolution of cinema, the evolution of kung fu stuff, but even the evolution of this one guy going, oh, this should be realistic, this should be slowly told, this is, almost his entire vision, the film. And then as he evolves and gets older and the world changes, he embraces all sorts of different styles. And it does become much more about slow motion, about, things flowing together and lots of maneuvers.
What's your experience and love or not of kung fu or martial arts film, Helen?
Any listeners to sort of previous episodes know that it's not my favourite of genres.
Yeah.
You like the one, though, right? I mean...
She does not like the one. Spoilers for different episodes.
Yeah,
if you've not
spoilers
heard
for
that.
different episodes. I mean, all those films you mentioned, like The Matrix, Crouching Tiger, I love those. I think they're great, really enjoyable. But other than sort of dipping in a little bit, it's not something I watch and go, oh my God, this is amazing. I think I'd like to hear from females who are massive fans of this genre, because it does seem to elicit more of a love and a very much kind of a fanboy response in a way. And I know people who would have watched this when they were 15 men and sat there
Boys.
going,
Let's call them boys.
Yeah.
Men.
And this will be a favourite film, and they'll be listening now going, oh, it's on Netflix, I haven't seen that in ages, I really want to watch it again. And they'll watch it and go, it's not quite as good as I remember, but I still really like it, and kind of enjoying that nostalgia of it. So I can kind of see where, what you've said and everything, but for someone who's probably been brought up more on the modern martial arts style of filming and used to something that's a little bit slicker and just a bit more stylized.
I mean, I haven't. This is the first time I've seen it, and I don't think it's a great film. But I find it really interesting to watch. And I think I'm probably the same as you. I think I'd probably watch something which is a bit more sort of artful. But I really love Jackie Chan. I mean, and it doesn't come out quite as much in this. I love his humour, and he's such a wonderful physical slapstick performer. Yeah. In as much as the martial arts movies, there's so much physical comedy in his movies, and it's irresistible for me. But it doesn't come across as much in this one because it's a little bit more serious in some ways.
Can I talk briefly about the version that we watched on Netflix?
Oh yes.
I don't know what
versions.
your experience is. So Netflix, obviously gives you the option of choosing
language
and subtitles. And I was like, me and Martin sat down, we had a cup of tea, it was all sorted, and we went, obviously, Cantonese language, English subtitles. Yeah. I prefer not closed caption. Your mileage may vary. But
I didn't know you had the option.
I mean, people have to tweet in and let us know whether, I just encountered a blip in the thing. But the options that Netflix gives. But there were big chunks of this that started off in English.
Yes.
And then would go back to Cantonese. And all the way through the film, it would flip back and forth and back and forth.
That was irritating.
Super irritating, right? I mean...
After a while, I didn't notice it because I was reading the subtitles. And then someone would go, hang on, that's in English. Oh, yeah.
I don't think you were paying attention. It's like, what language is this? Is there any... I'm not listening to it.
But sometimes when you do just see the subtitles, you kind of just switch your ears off a bit, don't you? But yeah, I found that at the start, he was speaking English with a guy called Thunderleg. And I thought, okay, so
I love Thunderleg.
Thunderleg.
Fighting, who was he fighting? He was fighting the master of the four-door, Charlie Way, master of the four-door fist.
Yeah.
I mean, no hatchbacks for Charlie Way. Just 4 doors.
Well, he's got a lot of sporting equipment.
Exactly, and a sunroof.
But I don't remember that happening in other versions that I've seen. I'm sure it's just pretty much been subtitles with the original Cantonese, or in the way that Jonesy from Police Academy used to mock. With over-exaggerated voiceovers.
I wondered if it was something to do with like deleted scenes. I did a little bit of reading around, and it sounded like there'd been various redubs, various deleted scenes which had been picked up off the floor of the editing room. There was one fight between Jackie Chan and Suhan where it seemed like there was almost like a complete segment of their fight in the forest where, you know, they came to a resolution and then they started again, this time in English, and then they came to another resolution and then it flipped back to Cantonese. And I sort of thought, oh, that's just like 35 seconds of fight that someone's gone, yeah, we can stick that back in, but nobody ever bothered to get Chinese actors to come in and do the words.
No, I did find that. Yeah, I noticed that. And I just thought it was I was hoping it's just my take on my experience of it, but
It was a bit distracting.
yeah.
And a bit naff.
And I guess it's going to go against the scoring system later on, isn't it?
It was going so well for it as
It
well.
was.
It was clearly going to be getting 5s across the board.
Until you picked it up again, I was going to say 5s all the way through.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't.
I mean, Jackie. I was just looking at some pictures here. You know, with his little smiley, drunk face. I mean, there is something.
He's really handsome in this movie.
He
Enjoy
really is, yeah.
And he's got a lovely ripped body. So that's something for the ladies.
You said that you weren't so much of a fan of kung fu stuff, Helen. I've always put it together slightly with musicals in my head. I went through
And I'd say horror as well.
Oh, really?
No, sorry. I thought we were going to go down a different tangent, but you follow your tangent.
Okay,
And come back to me.
I'll come back to your tangent.
Yeah.
I'll loop back. No, just I went through a little spate of watching some big musical sequences. We talked about The Red Shoes on our podcast, songbysongpodcast.com. And so I went back and I watched the Powell and Pressburger film, The Red Shoes, which has an amazing 15-minute ballet sequence in it. And one of my favourite sequences in cinema is the Gotta Dance scene from
Singing in the Rain.
Singing in the Rain, which is the best thing that's ever been filmed.
That's still
We all agree,
one of
right?
my massive cinematic black holes.
You've not seen
I've
it?
not seen it, no.
Why didn't we pick that?
We should have picked that.
Yeah.
Oh, never
Then it
mind.
would have been a
It's
completely
very like-
different experience.
It's very like Jackie Chan, except there's more jazz hands than flurry of fists.
Jazz hands could be a master's move, couldn't it?
Four-door jazz hands.
Four-door
Yeah.
jazz hands.
but I put those things together. Like it's less about the aggression, it's less about the conflict and the actual punch kicking, and more about all of the elegant flow of. I mean, I guess that kind of thing that is much more prevalent in something like Crouching Tiger or Hero or House of Flying Daggers. Any of those. I forget the director's name who did all of those.
I can't remember, but I just can imagine. I can picture them now, and they're all just awesome.
So gorgeous.
Yeah.
Is there any sense of like the beautiful aesthetic ballet of bodies that without the conflict that appeals?
I just thought a lot of the fights were just a little bit long.
Oh, really?
That's because they put in those little scenes they cut out. Probably,
What's the fight scenes for you guys were the best in your opinions, if you can remember them?
Well, I like the ones where he got beat up by a woman.
Yeah.
That was good.
Yeah, that
she
was
was,
really
super
funny.
great.
She's
as well,
amazing.
wasn't she?
Her leg control is outstanding.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I quite liked the final fight
With Thunderleg.
with Thunderleg, just because he starts shouting out all of the names of the various different drunken gods and did that silly dance as a lady.
I liked it when he was the painted lady or whatever she was called. That was quite fun.
How about you, Gabby?
I was going to say the one where he fought the lady who turns out to be his auntie, or I can't remember what the relationship was.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
But
right.
I used to do taekwondo and capoeira, so I'm a bit of a martial artist. But her leg control is just fucking unbelievable. It's like, how
You're
can
not
you
meant
hold?
to look at the lady's legs that much, you know.
Oh, that's the thing. I think, and that's why I'm kind of taken away from this, is like viewing it as a masterclass in the technique of what you can do if you're really good at an art.
So how do you feel about, as a kind of someone who knows, I know nothing about martial arts really. As someone who does, how did you feel about the performers in it? Like, were there any ones that stood out? I mean, like, how did you feel about Jackie Chan in this, for example?
Oh, Jackie Chan's eternally flawless in terms of his style. I don't think the fights and the choreography is put together in a way that was necessarily appealing, but there's instances and things that you just kind of think, well, that's fucking awesome what you've done there. Like, say, his auntie Thunderleg is his background's taekwondo, so that's why he's saying, like, yeah, I'm 70% kicks, 30% punches.
that was a really nice bit of statistics.
Yeah.
Really precise, yeah.
I've tallied up all my attacking moves.
I've got a
and
spreadsheet I can give you.
30% are kicks. No, 70% are kicks.
Someone's job is to follow him around and make a tally.
Yeah.
Going too hard on the punches, guys. Dial it down.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you can tell those guys can fight. Even the chubby guy, he can tell he's still a very good martial artist. My line of thought I was going to go
the
down.
horror stuff.
Yeah, the horror stuff. Because I typically say I don't like horror films.
Yeah.
But I do like good horror films. And I think when people say I love kung fu films, I think when people say I love horror films, they kind of just think I'll watch any horror film and I'll enjoy it for what it is. I think when people say I love kung fu films, they'll watch any kung fu film and take it for what it is. Whereas I think what I'm getting around here is that people will like a good film if it's kung fu, but if it's done in a way that's kind of makes sense. And I think that's my take on horror as well.
Yeah.
Like for watching things like It Follows, I just thought it was absolutely amazing. But
there are so many terrible horror films.
Exactly, yeah. But you will find people who say, I'm a
many.
horror fan, but they'll just watch everything. And that's the same with people who say they're kung fu fans. They will just watch everything. And even some Bruce Lee films are horrifically bad.
Yeah.
So the flip side of this kind of, the graceful side of kung fu that, I think we all probably like was that I remember watching Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon when it came out. And I was and just thinking, I'm not going to say what you're expecting. I really didn't like it because there were tons I'd gone through a phase of watching a ton of films that did very, very similar things. And I was like, well, this director's brought it to a mainstream Hollywood audience. It's going to be incredibly successful. And he becomes the person that makes these sorts of films. And there's all of these directors who were doing this stuff before.
Yeah, absolutely.
That I think are just as good, actually. I can't think of them off the top of my head. But
I was going to say, it was Ang Lee, Crouching Tiger.
Yeah.
Yes.
But you were talking about House of Flying Daggers and Hero, weren't you?
Yes.
Trying to work out.
I can't remember the name of the director. I want to say Wong Kar-wai, but that's not right. But
that's a very different kind of filmmaker.
very different. But I think that there's, Ang Lee came to prominence in the West, making Sense and Sensibility and then Hulk.
Let's forget that one.
Well, listen, but I think that it's interesting because I would say the same thing is true about almost any genre. Whether you're saying horror or kung fu or musical or superhero or any genre, you can say, "Oh, I'm not really a fan of that." But what you're really saying is, "I'm not really a fan of badly made films," and I think this genre is mostly populated by badly.
Well,
made
I disagree
films.
actually because I'm not a fan of horror because I don't deal well with horror.
No, me neither.
So it's even if it's a good, especially if it's a good one, it's going to be terrifying.
Yeah, but it stays with. I mean, you've got,
and that's why I don't want to watch it.
But there must be some good horror that you like, and maybe if someone
there is. I mean, so I like for example, I like Sam Raimi, but at that in the same way that I like Jackie Chan kung fu films, Sam Raimi is the same thing as to horror, isn't he? He's got a lot of humor and slapstick and these wonderful silly performances from Bruce Campbell and people in
and also it starts off with a very low budget background into something spectacular.
Yeah.
You'd argue though that a lot of those people, I mean, we've been talking about Tarantino, Ang Lee, Sam Raimi. To a certain extent, these are all people who have taken the tropes of their genre. They've taken the things that they love and they've kind of semi-reinvented them or just repackaged them and given them a different context. And I think in a way, like choosing a film like this and watching it and going back to that, there's a lot of good kung fu on Netflix. I watched Ip Man over Christmas, which is a stellar film and has some amazing kung fu and actually some amazing storytelling that is communicated through the use of kung fu. Donnie Yen is a great performer in all sorts of ways. But it's worth going back to Night of the Living Dead. It's worth going back to Lady Snowblood for
Japanese.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's worth going back to all of the original things and
that's
seeing what enthused and what excited the people who you are enthused and excited by.
And that's sort of why I was interested in this film. And even though I didn't love it, I was really interested to watch it and to know a little bit more about the cinema that created the sort of movies that we enjoy today. And
I mean, you're a film student at university, weren't you?
I was. I spent 3 years talking about this nonsense.
What a great 3 years!
Great
I'm sure.
feedback. Yeah, very good.
And when a lot of people watch Citizen Kane now without knowing the background and history behind it and why it's a good thing, it kind of falls on deaf ears, I can imagine. The first time I watched Citizen Kane, it was part of my general studies at A-level, and our teacher said, this is why it's good. They use all these different camera angles, they did all these things for the first time. And I was like, oh shit, that was the first time they did that.
Yeah.
That's great.
First time is a big deal, isn't it?
But I think to modern audiences, sit a kid down to watch Citizen Kane, they would probably think, dude, why am I watching this? This is bullshit. So I think there's something to be said about how the old films do things which set the foundation for new ones, do you think?
Yeah.
Guys, Helen?
Yeah, I mean, there's merit in it, but then
Citizen Kane's all
it's
right.
also
I mean,
about
harsh.
It lasts 2 and a bit
hours. I mean,
Yeah, it's
it's
quite-
2 hours.
It is.
I mean,
but
it's not bad, but
quite
that's
long.
2 hours of my life I'm never going to get back.
It is a bit
It's
too
quite
long for what it is.
I think I want to push back slightly against this this anti anything longer than 1 hour 35 you have going on. I think that there's good stuff that happens.
Some films
in
can be long films, but I
minute
think
100.
its premise is stretched quite a lot, and it takes a while to kind of get going.
I don't think the story's that important in this film.
No.
I think it's really just a series of set pieces, isn't it? And they kind of figured out some rough plots so they can string them together. But if you're not enjoying the individual scenes, you're probably not going to be that enthused by the story.
All of these films we're talking about were much slower 40 years ago, 50 years ago, 60 years ago. Things have gotten faster now. So a lot of the films that are reinterpreting this stuff are there's obviously a move to make Kill Bill into 2 films or Lord of the Rings into 3 films, but a lot of stuff is sped up and condensed and again, historically it's interesting to look at Citizen Kane and go, yeah, it's kind of slow and boring, although it is awesome. And it's not exactly crazy fast paced.
Watching it as not a film student, I did enjoy the story and I found it an enjoyable film. Whereas
Citizen Kane?
Citizen Kane, yeah. Whereas this one, the style of filmmaking and things like that do kind of hold it back a little bit for us, don't they?
It's not his sled at the end that
there's no
kick
sled.
punching
You
his way
can't
back
spoil
to...
a Citizen Kane, bloody hell.
Just watch me, mic drop.
It's just done it. Well, I think, guys, should we have the popcorn break before going to the scoring?
Lovely.
Oh, yeah.
So this
Amazing.
popcorn... Ooh,
That looks good. Oh, thank you. Oh, is this caramel?
yep.
It is, yeah. It's salted caramel.
From Popcorn Shed, popcornshed.com. Salted caramel popcorn with Belgian milk chocolate. So what are your thoughts there, guys?
That's really good.
It's really intense. That's really good.
Yeah, I can feel my blood sugar stabilizing. This is terrific.
Yeah.
Just as a preference, are you salted or sweet or a mix, or does it just depend?
I'm sweet, but I have salted popcorn.
No, that's gonna hit the cutting room floor, I think.
Oh well, I tend to go for a mix actually, but I'm pretty agnostic. I'll go with whatever my cinema going pals are after.
Just want some crunchiness whilst you're eating devouring some films.
Yeah.
When you eat popcorn at the cinema, when do you start eating your popcorn?
Now, so what I have to do is
You're a man. I knew
Before
you'd
I've
have
even
that.
got
Yeah.
in.
About this.
Okay.
no, I don't start eating it until the film starts.
Damn straight, man.
But I open the bag, I'm ready, so I'm not doing this fucking around to add to other people's misery surrounding me.
You get a bag of popcorn.
Yeah, I
not a
don't
tub
get
of
the
popcorn.
boxes. I like the toffee, proper hardcore sweet toffee popcorn,
yeah,
or
well-
Popcorn Shed type popcorn. Yeah, I don't just do the cinema one that they quote unquote have popped in house.
A big garbage bag.
So
of it
So
outside.
you're waiting until the film starts.
I'm waiting until the film starts. I occasionally give myself a single grain to gnaw on per trailer. Nothing in the adverts. 1 grain per trailer.
Right.
As the Fox logo comes up. Then I go face first and don't look up until I finish.
You missed the first 5 minutes. Like,
Yeah.
hey, what happened?
Nothing good happens in the first 5 minutes.
Helen, what's your? You get to start as soon
I
as
would
you
say
sit
that
down.
I'm lucky if there's anything left by the time the film started, really.
Martin.
Does anyone else share my preference for emptying an entire bag of minstrels into a
With
tub
the
of
popcorn,
popcorn?
yeah.
That happened in a
that's
film we
really
watched
good.
recently.
Oh,
That
But
happened in.
I
You
need my
get a whole
royalties.
different types of crisp popcorn, other sweets, and it's just like a
In-
mega mix of joy.
That
In
sounds
Whiplash.
horrific.
Oh, you put all kinds of different stuff.
That's right.
Yeah.
Whiplash.
In Whiplash, he goes to
yeah.
the cinema with his dad, doesn't he? And they pour the sweets into the popcorn and mix it around.
That's really good.
That's the first time I've heard that, so I'm going to try that.
You can put anything in the bowl, and it's just
It just feeds.
like lucky dip all the way through.
Wow.
Some carrots.
No.
All right, well,
And you could try the carrots and let me know how you get on with
Do you
that.
like?
but-
Are you a fan of savoury popcorn? Sorry, we're talking about popcorn
Yeah,
too much. But
salted is a real addiction of mine. I've got over it, but
what about wasabi?
That's what you guys do, isn't
I
it?
love wasabi
Yeah.
popcorn. Yeah,
That sounds amazing.
it's really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really really good.
Does it burn in the nose when you have too
No,
much?
well, it's a
Can
little
you
bit-
I
make
quite
it
like
look
that burn
powerful?
with wasabi.
Yeah.
It's a little bit even more even.
I'm going to get some sushi after this now.
Yeah.
Oh, that
Yeah.
sounds like a
Just
good idea.
empty the packet of wasabi.
My wife loves it. My wife loves it so much. She just walked out one day to buy a popcorn maker.
Really?
Yeah, she just was like, I really fancy some popcorn, and came back from August with a popcorn maker.
Do it. Live that dream.
I mean, most people get the packs to put in the microwave, but
Yeah.
got the machine.
I do it
What-
in a pan. I get
Old school. That's
unbanged
80s popcorn.
Yeah.
She wanted a popcorn on her bedside table, which is why she went for the popcorn maker. She's an amazing woman.
And let's head to the scores, guys. That's popcorn time. The first on the Flixwatcher patented, soon to be patented, patent pending scoring
What is
system.
it?
Sergeant and Mr. Smith, you're gonna love this house.
Bunk beds in a closet?
There's no field manual for finding the right home. But when you do, USAA Homeowners Insurance can help protect it the right way. Restrictions apply.
Okay. Is the recommendability score, Martin, out of 5?
5. I think I'll give this a 3. So I think a lot of people are not gonna get on with it, but for those kung fu fans or people who are just curious, yeah, I think they'll be into it.
Sam?
I think this would be a really important film to understand the history of Kung Fu, but I can't, in all honesty, recommend it for any other reason. So I go to a 2 for this.
Ooh. Helen?
I'm going to give it a 2 also. If you're a fan of Jackie Chan and you haven't yet watched this, then you should definitely go there. But I think, like you've already said, there's probably a lot better Kung Fu films to watch ahead of this. But yeah, any Jackie Chan fans who haven't watched this, then they should definitely give it a go.
Yeah. It's good to see the origins. This is Jackie Chan origin story, isn't it? And I'd say a 3. I'm a bit more in favour of it than you guys, I think. Repeat viewing score, Martin?
I've given it a 1 because I'm probably never going to watch it again.
I, again, couldn't say I would like to watch it, but I can almost guarantee that at some stage it will be on and I'll go, oh, this isn't the Magnificent Ambersons. Yeah, I'll watch this. That's fine. So that's a 2 for me.
Damn them Ambersons. That's a 2?
Yeah.
Helen?
I'm going to give it a 1 purely because if it was remade and a little bit slicker, then I'd be tempted to watch that.
Are you interested in the 1994 film Legend of Drunken Master?
How long is it? Is it 2 hours?
That's a good question, actually. I think it's a
14 hours, 38 minutes.
I think it's a bit shorter, isn't it?
I can't remember. It's a lot more fun.
Yeah,
it has some really
I
spectacular
think
stuff
I'd
in
probably give it a 1 on the chance of that, and I might be tempted to see what happened a little bit later on.
Just, on that slight point, even though it's not really directed to it, Jackie Chan's character is actually a bit of an idiot, isn't he? He's a bit of a knobhead.
Yeah.
Oh, he's supposed to be. Yeah, I think they really bigged that up. You know, he even kind of like when he's in the restaurant scene, he's kind of picking his nose and just making a real slob of himself.
Yeah,
you're meant to think he's just a bit of a sort of wayward son, aren't you?
It lets them do that kind of comedy fast stuff.
Yeah,
he's the person who does the thing that would be totally outrageous for any other person to do, and hilarity ensues.
I mean, also the stuff that he has to do in training, especially, is really nasty stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
Like lifting up, kind of doing stomach crunches upside down and carrying teacups of water into a bucket.
I just thought doing those press-ups from your wrist onto your front.
Oh, God, yeah. That
really disturbed you, didn't it?
There's just so much stuff in it. It was like, oh, that looks really, really painful. But then you're supposed to be like, well, but he's a bit of a dick, so that's okay. Yeah.
So it counterbalances it. I think I'll give it a 2. I will watch it probably for some scenes, but I can't see myself watching the whole thing again. And I think I'll just go skip to the fights because the plot is incidental.
Yeah.
Small screen score.
I think it works well on the small screen. Given, I'd say 4. I don't think it really loses much. It's pretty. I mean, I watched it on a TV rather than a phone, but I could see what was happening.
Well, small screen is a TV, isn't it?
Yeah.
We're talking cinema.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I thought the small screen was literally on your phone on the way to commuting on your way to work. No, I mean, I'm not saying that's it. That's what I assumed you meant.
It's just more like how well does it fit for watching at home as opposed to cinematic glory.
Yeah. Sam?
Then I definitely upgrade it to a 4. It was a 3 on an iPhone when I rewatched certain scenes today. It's a 4 on a even respectably sized television.
You're really thorough.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
What scenes did you rewatch?
Did you watch it on ever decricing screen size?
Well, you
Get the full experience.
I'm going to do it on a Nano and then an Apple Watch.
Yeah.
You were just watching 1 pixel of the.
I wanted to try. I didn't get to talk about any of the incredible quotes that.
Sure, let's get some.
Yeah,
I mean,
go for it.
They were just really good. Like look out, or you'll have a body with no arse. One translation.
Oh, yeah, that was a good one. Yeah,
and also, I think in that scene that we talked about where he encounters his aunt and they insult each other, and the translation for what she says to him is "shithead, piss off," which I saw to be more sort of like EastEnders, get out of my gaff, you're a slag. So I was impressed that was.
So she's the equivalent of Sharon from EastEnders.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Or Angie Watts.
Don't start, Jackie. He's making a mug of you. Anyway, small screen. The smallest of screens, 4.
Helen.
Sorry, I do.
A 3.5. I mean, there's no need to see it at the cinema. And I guess you could watch it in bits. I suppose you could quite enjoyably watch it on your phone if you felt that way inclined.
I'm going to say 3, because that's what my gut's telling me. I've got no.
Yeah.
Engagement score, Martin.
How difficult was it to turn off? I mean, pretty easy. So I'm going to say 3. You can pretty much dip in and out of it, so that's an advantage. If what you want to do is watch a bit of like fighting and then go and make the tea and then come back and watch a bit more fighting, it's ideal for that, really.
Yeah. So 3.
Yeah, 3.
Sam.
Just a 2. Just a 2.
Just not even.
Well, you know what Helen said. You could watch a bit of it and then stop, and I can totally believe not coming back to it. It's not. There's other fighting. There's other kick punching to be had. You could. This is. Easy.
You've said kick punches a few times. Have you seen Community?
I have. Is that come from Community?
Yeah,
that's the movie they're obsessed with.
Yeah.
Oh yes,
Kick
it
puncher.
is.
Kick
I
puncher.
think it's because I referred to Kickboxer, which is the film your
God.
partner loves, and I found really disturbing.
So this is
as Kick Puncher.
Yeah, if you ever come round to visit us at some stage,
Well,
my
just
girlfriend
waiting for
will...
the invitation.
Yeah, exactly.
I
It'll happen.
check my post every day.
I sent you an e-card. At some stage, my girlfriend will say, "Hey, why don't we put on?" And then she'll either say Hercules in New York, or she'll say,
I haven't seen that one yet. I'm looking forward to that.
that emptied a party that we were hosting super quick once. Or she'll say Kickboxer. And one day she said that to Martin, and Martin sat down. And he's never really looked her in the eye since. She loves that film. She loves especially the bit where he dips his hand in broken glass and then punches a guy. And
It's really horrible.
it's really horrible.
It's a horrible
Hel-
movie.
I haven't seen it.
Helen and I are part of a film quiz team. That's how we met. And in the last edition of the quiz team, there's a montage section, and you had to identify the film from the montage, and Kickboxer was one of them. It's interesting why you want to show that to people at a party.
No. Hercules in New York was
Okay,
the party.
that's the party
We're not-
movie.
We're not idiots. I'd forgotten the Kick Puncher was a reference. I was thinking of the
No, I like it.
Warren
I like
Ellis comic series Next Wave, where they do a lot of kick exploding. But clearly, I'm borrowing from too many references simultaneously.
it. Kick Punch is a good one for me. I loved Community in the first few seasons anyway. Helen, engagement score.
I got to get a 1. I fell asleep.
Did you?
Yeah, I had been down the pub. But...
I'm going to say 2, and I think it's a good point you made, Sam, with the language changing. That just became a bit fucking toss as you progress during the film.
It's going to be the back of the DVD case one day, isn't it? A bit fucking tough.
So what does that mean? How's it done overall?
So the overall score is 2.4, which 2.5 stars.
Yeah,
Which
it's not the worst.
Does that mean Netflix are going to put Jackie Chan into some sort of furnace?
No, because they'll have to put other bigger stars that they promote heavily into a furnace, I think, before
I
they
think
put Jackie
Adam
Chan.
Sandler is well at the front
God,
of you. That
please,
one.
God.
Yeah.
At least you know where he is now.
Oh,
though.
wow,
He's locked down in one corner of the world.
Oh, these are the Twitter comments.
So these are Twitter comments. So we reached out to the Twitter.
Oh, I love the still.
So it's the gift from him learning to be a drunken master the first time.
Oh,
Super
yeah.
good.
Look at him,
And
look at him drunken around.
so we gave it 2.4 stars. So Kung Fu Driving Podcast said a Kung Fu classic that has kids in the 70s and 80s pretending they were completely wasted. I covered it too. I don't think I pretended to be drunk, but I remember fighting. But I think, in fact, I remember doing fights more after seeing Karate Kid and like Rocky than I did after watching this. So
This was a few years earlier, though, right? This
It
is
was,
78.
yeah.
So that was the year I was fairly young. So I probably wouldn't have been able
Stay
to
cool,
watch
Martin.
it.
Stay cool.
I really brazened that one out, didn't I?
Shannon Mack says, love this movie. 5 stars, one of Jackie's best.
Can't endorse that.
No, I'm not sure.
There's
I agree
a
with
lot of great Jackie Chan films.
And Andreas Galambos, I hope I've said that correctly, says 5 stars, is a Pope Catholic.
Oh, I thought he was doing a swear, like shit.
What's a 5-letter swear word?
I can't tell you. It's too sweary.
Is that the secret?
The secret's way.
The 5-letter words are worse than the 4-letter words.
25%, that's bad.
5 stars, is the Pope Catholic? Is Drunken Master a must-see classic? Is Jackie Stan the frogging boss? Gulp, ick, boom, enough said. So I don't know
A lot of questions in that review.
Yeah. And also weird, what does frogging mean?
Frogging.
It's like effing and jeffing, isn't it? You know, it's a
Maybe
it's a way
that's
of...
what his predictive text comes up with something
Yeah.
else.
So
Gulp it,
There is a
boom.
bit of love there.
Yes, there's a fair bit of love.
Yeah.
For this.
Yeah.
And I think it's people. I mean, judging by the fact it's Kung Fu Driving podcast, he podcasts about Kung Fu films. So,
Yeah.
of course, he likes it a lot.
But I think we've talked about the fact that it is clearly a staple. Like it's a linchpin of his career. Chan's career. No,
Yeah,
no.
absolutely,
Well,
yeah.
it's where he
I thought you meant
starts.
a linchpin of Kung Fu Driving podcasts.
I'm not an aficionado of that particular drive-in.
I think that's a great place to finish, isn't it?
Sadly, yeah.
Yeah, sadly, yes,
Aw.
for this episode. Guys, please sound us off as to where we can find you and on the Twitters on the internet.
Well, you can talk to us on Twitter at Song by Song Pod.
You can email us, songbysongpodcast@gmail.com.
Well, all of that information is on our website, songbysongpodcast.com.
And we will be linking to you guys in the show notes, of course.
Thank
So
you.
just scroll down a bit and click the links.
Scroll and click.
Scroll and
Yeah.
click.
Do that thing.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, it's been lovely.
Cheers,
Thanks,
guys.
That's one. Sorry
Yeah.
for making you watch that movie.
It's not a problem, really. We've seen worse. Bye.
Bye.
Cheers, guys. Hope you enjoyed the show there with Sam and Martin from the Song by Song podcast. Please do go and check them out online. All the details and links to the show notes to find them on Twitter, etc., etc. So, and also please do find us on Twitter, Flixwatcher Pod, and find us online at flixwatcher.tv on our website. And of course, subscribe, share with your friends because sharing is awesome. Also, huge thanks to all the guys at GL Production. We have Toby, Tony, Jay. There's lots of people now. They're growing so big. Hopefully, because we're helping them out a little bit. And also to Mighty People for the tunes that you can hear right here, right now. See you next time, guys, for the next installment of Flixwatcher Podcast. Bye.